All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. Let's give a few seconds here for people to join and also do a sound check. So, hi, everybody. Can, as always, just if people can say yes in the chat if they can hear us, make sure that everything's working properly. So I'm seeing some people. Hi. Okay, great. Thanks for the thumbs up. Hi, Maria. Hi, Joanne. Macho Bear, oh great, awesome to see Macho Bear here, great company. Hi Kim from Invest Ottawa, great stuff. Hi Megan, good to see you as well, awesome. Okay, we are good to go. So let's jump in. We have a lot of information to cover. It's a very meaty topic. We have three incredible speakers here to help navigate the world of global mobility, of how to hire and relocate tech talent, specifically to Canada. Before we get started, there's a few housekeeping items. Well, first off, hi, my name is Ilya. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at VanHack, excited to be here. But yeah, first, a few housekeeping items. First off, this webinar will be mostly focused on the employer side of the relocation process. I know there's some great tech talent here, Jonathan, also maybe Sunil, etc. Great to see you both here. But our focus really is going to be on the employer side. If you are interested in you know, how this employer side works, that's cool. We're also going to have we have tons of content as well for candidates as well. But yeah, maybe if you want to learn about the employer side, that's fine too. You can of course be here. And if you are looking for a job, we have many of those as well. And the links there in the chat. Another thing is that one of the things that we've created and we're really proud of is the ultimate guide to global mobility in 2022. It's pinned in the chat, should be up here somewhere. If you want to check that out, it's got a ton of information, kind of a summary of a lot of things we're going to be going over today, and you can check that out if you like. It's of course free to download. And then this webinar will be recorded and emailed to everyone and put on YouTube, etc. afterwards. So if there's something you missed, you want to kind of go back and rewatch, you'll be able to watch this another time in the future as well. So yeah, that's I guess most of the information. Oh, at the end we will have a Q&A. So if you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A. On this side as well. So I hope I didn't miss anything. But without further ado, I'd like to bring to the stage Karan Dani, who is our head of global mobility, and he'll be starting us off and getting into the actual content of the webinar. So enjoy and welcome, Karan.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ilya, for the intro. I hope everyone's doing well, and thanks for joining us. I'm just really excited, honestly, to be part of this. It's a topic we love talking about, where we use it a lot, so it's one of our main focuses here. So maybe I'll just share our presentation here and kind of jump right into it. So today we're kind of going to be going over how to hire tech talent in Canada. Yeah, the main idea here is that what we usually do is work with you to find the right talent, and then once you've identified them, this is kind of the process to bring them over. So whether you are finding someone within VanHack or looking outside, this program is really important to know. I think it was introduced back in 2017, and since then it's been one of the best immigration programs, and we've had it because there is a huge tech need in Canada. So hopefully you get some information and you're able to walk away with details, and also hopefully you'll see how easy the program is to kind of use. So that's, I think, our main goal to show you is kind of how simplistic it is. But if you do have questions afterwards, like, I don't think the idea is here for you guys to become immigration consultants. Otherwise, we will be out of work. But at least kind of go back and go to your teams and show them how simple it can be. So without further ado, I'll go over our agenda, which here is just we'll give you a brief overview of the global talent stream process. We'll also go into some of the benefits and why we use this program almost exclusively. We'll also touch a little bit on the process, from start to finish, what it looks like, as well as eligibility to, so I think some people will kind of get concerned about, hey, can we even apply? Like, are there any issues with it, or, will I be refused? So we'll talk about some of the eligibility requirements. We'll touch on something that's called the labor market benefit plan afterwards. And then, then we'll kind of go into some details about how to actually bring the people over once the applications are all approved, and then touch base on some questions with you and answer. So please, as Ilya mentioned, let us know your questions in the comment section there. This will be an overview. So some of you who've gone through the Global Talent Stream in the past, you might have some more detailed questions, and feel free to share those as well. So just an introduction to our team. So my name is Karan, as the head of Global Mobility. And then today we have Chahat Sharma, who's an immigration consultant with us, and Tatiani Cortez, who's a Global Mobility specialist. We also have another team of about 4 other immigration consultants that we work with. So you might be, interacting with them in the future. But this is, at least, is our team for today. So without further ado, I think I'll pass it on to Chahat to kind of give us some information about the overview of the Global Talent Stream.
Hi everyone, this is Chahat again. I'm from Global Mobility team. I'll be covering the detail about how the LMI works, what's the Global Talent Stream. So I'm talking about LMI, what it is. It's the Labor Market Impact Assessment. What is it used for? It's used to bring the foreign workers in. It's basically saying, I want to bring a foreign worker in. I want to get the job offer validated from Service Canada. That's the process of getting the job offer validated. Now, how is the LMI different for different streams? So the stream we're talking about today is the Global Talent Stream, specifically to bring the tech industry workers in. So how is it different to the regular LMI process? The regular LMI process is a very overwhelming process. It goes through a lot of steps, whereas the Global Talent Stream process is very quick. How is it different? It's a priority processing stream. It gets processed within 2 weeks. And the major question I get asked, some of you might have been through the process already. For some of you, you've heard of the process, it takes a lot of time. How the Global Talent Stream is different is there's no recruitment efforts. For the regular LMI, you have to go through the 4-week recruitment process, whereas for the Global Talent Stream, there's no recruitment effort. So it's fairly quick that way. But how does the priority processing works? There's a dedicated service channel from Service Canada that works on the Global Talent Stream to make sure the speed is caught up and the process goes really fast. That's how the Global Talent Stream is different from the regular LMI process. Not talking about how the process actually works, to get into the details of the step. There's 2 steps through the process. The first one is the LMI stage, where we work with you to go over all the preparation of the application, the document preparation, and we go through that from A to Z with you to prepare everything. That's the document preparation for the side. Then the submission side of the application. It takes 2 weeks for the submission and the positive decision letter to come in. Once we've submitted the application for you, there's few steps that you have to go through. It's going to be a quick call with Service Canada to go over the application we've put together for you. And there's a quick call after that to go over the LMBP, what we call as the Labor Market Benefit Plan, which we'll be covering in detail later. Once the LMI is submitted, we have received the positive decision letter, we go through the work permit process. That's the side where the candidate side come in. We work with the candidate simultaneously while we are working with you to put their application together for work permit. Once we've submitted their work permit application, there's a quick step for biometrics, fingerprinting, and after that, it usually takes 2 to 4 months for the work permit to get approved. And after that, the step is for relocation. We have a special relocation team that works with the candidate to make this process for them as smooth as possible. Now, getting into the details, what I've talked about is the processing times. So for LMI, it takes 2 weeks for the processing. Right now, we are seeing typically 3 weeks to be touching, but the standard processing time is 2 weeks, what we see the process to go through for the Labor Market Impact Assessment application. Whereas for the work permit, as I covered, it's 2 to 4 months for the application to get approved. Also, do keep in mind there's a $1,000 application fees for each foreign worker you're requesting to bring in. And also for the work permit processing time for 2 to 4 months, it also depends on the country the candidate is applying for to get it approved. But the fair approval time we have seen is 2 to 4 months to get it approved. Now let's dive into the details. How is it going to benefit your company? You're listening about the whole process. There are steps to the process, but what benefit it brings to your company? The major benefit for this program is 2 to 3 year closed work permit. So when I say that 2 to 3 year closed work permit, what it means is that you can bring the foreign worker in either for 2 year time period or a 3 year time period. Earlier, it used to be 2 years, but recently it got changed to that you can bring the foreign worker in for 3 years as well. Now, when I say closed work permit, what it is, it's saying that you can bring the foreign worker in that they can just work for your company. So that really increases the loyalty and the retention for the company as well, because the candidate can just work for your company. And in this program, there are also set salaries. We'll be covering in detail how the salaries work in the program. And also, as covered, this program is fairly, very fast. It's a quick eligibility program, 2 weeks, a quick application. We work with you on the process, and that gets submitted. Now, that's for how it's benefiting your company. But how does it benefit the candidates you're bringing in? How is it going to benefit them as well while they're moving to Canada, relocating? The first one, it's family reunification. What we call it is they're not just coming alone. If they're married, they can bring their spouse in. Their spouse can also work in Canada. They can bring their children in as well. They can study in Canada. So that's a big process, that the whole family stays together in Canada. That's a really big support for the candidate who's going to be staying in a new country. And also, it's because it's a 2 to 3 year work permit process, like application. So the candidate has time to transition to permanent residence as well if they choose to do so. So that way the candidate stays with your company for a longer term as well, if they wish to apply for permanent residence. And typically we have seen the candidate within the first year of arriving in Canada, they do choose to apply for the permanent residence. And the other benefit for this program is knowledge and skill. That's the big power of knowledge that they bring in with themselves as well. It's for the experienced tech talent. So that's a big benefit they're bringing in to your company. Also, this increases, as I've covered, retention rates because they'll be staying with your company longer, and increases loyalty because it's a closed work permit, and they can work remotely as well. So while they're in Canada as well, they can choose to work on a hybrid mode or remote work. And also the other thing is that you can get in touch with our growth team to get more details about the remote work. Is like while they're doing the process, they can start work remotely with you. We have different partnerships on that platform, but you can get in touch with our growth team to get more details about how the remote work works on there. And now I'll get into more details about what is the eligibility for this program. So this program is majorly based on the two eligibility criteria, what we call as the National Occupation Classification that you'll see there as NOC code. You'll see us using this term a lot. It's how immigration has divided the job titles. And the other eligibility criteria is the minimum wage. So the minimum wage and NOC code together determines the eligibility of the program. I'll explain it in detail. Is like if you're looking to hire, let's say, NOC code 2173, a software engineer. So that's the job title you choose for depending on the duties. But how does it cover for eligibility? Every area, every province has their own eligibility salaries, and every suburb has their own eligibility. So let's say software engineer 2173, you're looking to hire them in Vancouver. So at 37.5, it's going to be around 103,000 annual salary. That would be the eligibility criteria. And the full-time work is based on 37.5 hours or 40-hour work week, whichever your company decides to approve. So that's how the eligibility works on the detail for the NOC code and the minimum wage salary. Now we'll be covering more in details about the documents and the LMBP, and I'll pass it on to Karan to cover those details.
Thanks, Chahat. Yeah, so regarding documents and I guess just general eligibility, the nice thing is that once your application is submitted, Service Canada is really walking you through this application to get it approved. They're not looking to refuse it, so it is, we call it a white glove service. So as part of the document package, this can vary a little bit depending if it's your first time submitting the application or if it's a subsequent application. I will say that the first time you submit, it can be a little bit more onerous, a couple hours of work probably, and then subsequent applications do become a little easier as you become familiar with the program. And I think familiarity with the program is really important here because you can kind of use it, in your careers kind of going forward. So when we're talking about documents, the main one there that you're looking at is the application form. So we typically fill that out for you. It's kind of a boring government form, so just a little distracting to look at. So we have an online questionnaire that we ask you to fill out. It just asks things about your business, so your business numbers, your business addresses, a couple contact details. So we'll fill out the government form for you. And then in addition, you'll need a couple of financial documents. Again, this is if it's your first time. The financial documents are there so that they can essentially show the government that you can afford to pay for the temporary foreign worker. So the documents are posted there. You typically talk to your finance team about them, but it's the T2 Schedule 100 and the 125 that would come from your latest tax returns, and as well the PD7A, which would have been from your CRA business portal that can be downloaded. Again, check with your finance team. Likely, if your company is running a deficit, which is common in the tech space, you'd be also looking at a letter of attestation. So it's a letter that we would provide a template about, but it would need to be signed by either a CPA or a lawyer, and they would essentially attest to the fact that you can hire this foreign worker. These financial documents are really only required if it is your first time application, and then subsequent applications, you would only need to send in that application form. So they make it pretty simple. Okay, and I think I'll jump in right here to what's required for the labor market benefit plan. I think this can be kind of daunting for a lot of employers and what it all means and all that. So I'll dive kind of right into it. With the labor market benefit plan, essentially, this is a really critical component to your application where you are essentially making commitments to the local Canadian market because you're hiring foreign workers. So because you're bringing in foreign talent, they want you to make some positive contributions to the Canadian market. So we would kind of coach you on these as well, but you'd want to commit to things that maybe you're already doing or that aren't too onerous for your company. So a couple of them that I would consider almost mandatory would be the investment in in-house skills and training. So it's a commitment whereby you have a couple of options. You can either have some paid training per year for your staff. So let's just say you're bringing in these examples, I'll just kind of use the example of just bringing in one foreign worker. For bringing in somebody, just one person, typically about $2,000 per year for training would kind of cover you. This would be if, let's just say, somebody takes some sort of lessons, even language lessons that the company's paying for, that could cover it. If your CEO or someone's going to a conference and the company's paying for it, that would cover it as well. And it's not $2,000 per person at your company, it's $2,000 overall. So that could be one option. For companies that maybe don't have a training budget, you could also use something like co-ops and internships. So you could maybe offer 1 or 2 co-ops per year. Another commitment would be job creation. So you'd be hiring local people as well. So for the local hires, they can be part-time, full-time. They don't have to be in tech either. So they can be sales, marketing, HR, whatever it is. But if you're hiring one person from outside of Canada, they would want one hire per year that foreign worker's here. So if you ask them for a 2-year time period, you'll need to make 2 hires over 2 years. And if you're asking them for them for 3 years to come and work for you, then you'll need to make 1 hire per year for that. Those 2, I would say, are probably the most common and most important benefit plans. And then you'll need to make at least 1 more. So the minimum is to have 3. We have a couple examples there for you. One would either have the foreign worker that you're bringing over do some lunch and learns for your team, or maybe supervise and mentor some junior developers. You can choose that, or increasing workplace diversity. So this could look like, let's say you're hosting, or maybe there's a webinar that's specifically focused on workplace diversity, and you're able to present that to your team. So that would sort of cover you there as well. But again, it can get more detailed. They typically will follow up after about a year to see how you're doing with those commitments. Again, they're not there to sort of refuse you. They really do want to, they're pretty lenient and they're pretty nice about it. As long as you respond to them and you're letting them know that, how you're doing with these commitments, they're usually okay. But do check in with our team if you have questions about the labor market benefit plan part of this. Okay, now I know we've kind of talked mostly about the global talent stream eligibility, and I promise we'll get into the relocation part, but I just thought it would be important to also discuss this new program that was put in place in the beginning of April, I believe it was. It's called the Canada-Ukraine Authorization for Emergency Travel. This is specifically for anybody who's coming, who has nationality in the Ukraine, or is the spouse or partner of somebody who is Ukrainian nationality as well. The idea here is that the advantage is that really there's no requirement from the company to do any sort of global talent stream LMA at all. It's just candidates are able to apply directly for this program. And we were seeing about that 2-week processing. They are a little bit behind because of the number of applicants they have. We're seeing it takes about a month and a half right now. But it's a program just for the Ukraine initiative right now. And if you are looking at candidates and they fall into this category, this is probably the program you'll be falling under. So VanHack's done a great job of identifying some of these candidates, and so if you're willing to help out there, I think it's a great initiative. I just thought I'd maybe bring it up so that you have the information at hand. Okay, I think without further ado, I'll sort of ask Tati to sort of go over our relocation and what happens after you're able to bring the candidates into Canada, and what that looks like from a VanHack perspective.
Thank you, Karan. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Tatiana. I'm the Global Mobility Specialist at VanHack. So today I'm going to talk about what is the support that VanHack provides as a recruitment company to your new hire, what VanHack doesn't do, and some tips or best practices for you as a company to work on with this foreign worker that's coming from abroad to join your team. So the relocation support begins as soon as the new hire signs the offer. So we start working with that candidate to explain what are the steps of the visa process. As Shahad mentioned before, like we can let them know that they can come as a main applicant and they can also bring the family members. So we will support everyone. We will prepare, we'll be alongside with them preparing the documentation, giving all the support. At the same time that our immigration consultants will be with you as a company to prepare your documentation. We do not charge for that, so they only pay for the government fees. So that's a huge step that we are providing right there. We also provide relocation guide specific for the candidate with information on how to prepare for the arrival. With the pandemic, they had a lot of questions about vaccination, what type of tests they have to take before arriving, the documentation to prepare and to show it to the border officer at the airport in Canada, and also post-arrival. So how they can apply for a social insurance number, and they can only do that after arrival because they leave the home country with the visa to enter Canada, but they only receive the work permit at arrival. So they can apply for the social insurance number. We tell them how to do that. We also talk about the health insurance, how they can obtain health insurance for them and for the family members. We talk about bank, how to open a bank account, what are the 5 biggest banks in Canada. We also talk to them about credit score and any topics such as like they need an adapter because the plugs here in Canada are different. So these are the things that we cover with your candidate. What VanHack doesn't do, we do not provide housing service. So we do not find a rental or we do not book a flight ticket for them. We do not pick them up at the airport, but we do have some partners. Depending on the province, we have realtors, we have housing companies that can help your candidate. Going back to our support as well, we have some WhatsApp groups in the major cities and the Slack group that they can use to exchange experience. We also, I'm also going to talk about some best practices and tips for you. So if you want this process to be smooth, my first tip for you would be gather your documentation. So you gather your documentation. If you appoint the right person to be the point of contact for the immigration team. So who is going to be dealing with the visa process? Who is going to be the person that will also be appointed to help the candidate? If they have questions about the contract terms, if they want to know what are the benefits that they will get, what is the relocation support that you can provide for them? So some companies, and again, this is a suggestion depending on your policies, some companies, they decide to allocate a certain amount to help your candidate with, for example, the costs of flight tickets or temporary accommodation. Some of the candidates, they will choose to stay at least 1 month at a Airbnb, for example, until they can go in person and visit some properties to decide where they are going to live. You can also help, let's say, with airport pickup. It's a nice touch. or you can provide a voucher for a cab or an Uber. Also think about onboarding. So nowadays we are all used to remote work. Why not a remote onboarding? Pay attention, this person is coming from abroad. Some of them, they have been to Canada, others no. Some candidates, they have never done an international trip, for example. They are highly recommended, really good tech professionals, but they are not Canadians. So these are some details. If it's part of your culture, if you're people's first. So these are some tips for you. I think that a single person can have some different, we want something different than families. For example, a single person, we want to know where are the restaurants, the events, where can I find entertainment? Oh, we want to stay in downtown. A family, we want to know, where are the schools? Like, what are the best and safe neighborhoods? So you can also think about peers, like if you have a foreign worker already, or if you have a person that likes to be paired with someone to explain, to give tips. So these are suggestions as well. I hope I have touched the main topics. We will open for questions and answers. If you saw that we didn't touch any topic that you'd like to discuss, feel free to ask and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you for your time here. I believe Ilya will come back to the stage.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Tachi. Great. And thanks, Shahad and Karan as well. So yeah, a lot of information there about the immigration process, relocation process, visas, labor market benefit plans. I can't forget those outlets and having the right plugs. I think that's so great. Like even those little details we help with, that's awesome. So yeah, if people have questions, I know a few people have been asking questions in the chat already, but let's get into it. Awesome. So may I ask, how long can the LMIA procedure be expected for expected countries? So I'm guessing the question is like, how long does the LMIA process work? Pablo, I believe that's what you're asking there. So if someone wants to answer that.
Sure. Yeah, I can kind of jump in for this one. The LMIA part on the company side as the first steps to that one, it usually taking right now, I think about 2 to 3 weeks for governments to kind of get back to companies. And then on the candidate side, that's kind of where it depends on which country the candidates are coming from. It honestly, it varies throughout the year, and as different visa centers get busier and slower. To give you an idea, right now, I think from Brazil, we're seeing about maybe a little less than 2 months. India, maybe about 3 months. So yeah, it does range depending on where the candidate's coming from, but that's the typical time frame.
Awesome, thanks, Karan. Let's go with, can you apply for the SIN number before coming to Canada?
I think we touched that, but again, no, unfortunately, they can't, because they will only receive the work permit at arrival at the airport in Canada. With the document handy, they can go to a Service Canada office and apply after arrival.
Cool, but like just to be clear, the person who got hired, they can work remotely for their employer as a contractor, right? So it's not like you have to wait to move to Canada to actually start the process of working. All right. What about education? I see a question here from Jonathan. What are the restrictions for diplomas or experience? Like, how do you, what does the candidate need to have in order to be able to qualify for Global Talent Stream?
Yeah, for most, it really depends on the different knock codes that Jahad was talking about. But to give you a general overview, if somebody's coming in as a developer or engineer, typically education is not really a requirement. It's nice to have, but yeah, not a requirement at all. Really what they'd be looking for is work experience. So if you have letters from your previous employer saying that they were, have been working for a certain amount of time, we try to look for, most of our candidates come in with at least 3 years of experience is what we look for anyways. But yeah, really experienced letters are more important than the education. There are a few knock codes where education is required. So in the instance of if you're coming in as a web developer, then yeah, sometimes with that development code, education is a requirement.
Cool. Thanks, Kron. So what happens if someone's let go? What obligations does the employer have?
Yeah, I can kind of jump in there as well. I think as long as you're following the employment standards in the province that you're living in, there isn't an issue with letting someone go. So yeah, you would just follow like BC standards, Ontario standards, whatever it is, and you're not tied to them. The candidates can still stay in Canada for the extent that their work permit's valid. They just can't work for another employer. So and actually through the pandemic, there was something that was introduced which allows, so if VanHack, especially if they're VanHack candidates, we would typically try and help them find a new job pretty quickly. But if, and once they do, the new employer, it usually takes about 2 months to swap over that work permit from one employer to another one. So yeah, but it is possible, and yeah, there are some ways to do it.
Yeah, it's a common question. A lot of employers worry about that, but it's something that we've had a few people be let go, and it almost never happens, to be honest. So most candidates are able to get their PR and either change jobs on their own or let go, but they have a PR a few years later. Actually, it's pretty rare that developers get let go these days. But no, it's even if they do get let go, like there's a lot of ways to help and solve the problem. So there's no issues. There's a question here from Sawan. He got a refusal for a study permit, but now he's looking to get a job. Like, will that impact, like having a refusal study permit, will that impact his chance of getting a visa through Global Talent Stream?
Yeah, another good question. Honestly, Canada is really open with their immigration policies. So same thing, like refusals usually won't cause any sort of issues for future applications. It's just good to note it and let it know in your application that you were refused in the past. There are some questions that come up where they'll ask, have you been refused before? So I think honesty is the best policy in for Canadian immigration. So you just want to disclose that info.
Nice. Thanks, Kron. What does the process look like for relocating spouses or kids? So maybe Tachi or
Yeah, in terms of documentation, they will have to gather way less documents than the main applicant. So it's not difficult for their wife and the child. As we said, the wife can obtain an open work permit to work for any company, and the kids can study as well. So if they are 6 and older, we are going to apply for a study permit for them, since they will have school age. They can come together, the main applicants. Some families, they also prefer, let's say, the father will come first, and then he will apply for the first documentation, stay in Airbnb, look for the rental, and then once he gets the rental, he brings the family. This is an option as well. Many people ask for that. Or they can come together, stay at temporary accommodation, or they can work with a housing company and start living their new lives. Schools are pretty much easy as well. We tell them what kind of documents they have to bring. Basically, the immigration documents like the visa, passport, and vaccination card. So parents have to prepare that as well. So we share how to track the schools, what are the best schools. We explain that they are based on districts according to the province, and that's how we do.
Nice, thanks, actually. Yeah, it's definitely a big change with the whole family moving, but it is great that they can work. Like in the U.S., spouses can't work, which is a big problem, and then of course kids can study in public school, which is also very, very nice. Thanks. Question from Sam is: do kids need to have a student visa or a visitor visa? Which one do they need?
I can take that. First, kids under the age of 6, they would need a visitor visa, whereas anybody over the age of 6 would need to go for a study permit, and then they can study in Canada.
Nice, and that's part of the Global Talent Stream process that you apply.
Yes.
For that, right?
Yes.
Nice. Thanks, Shahad. I must have a certification in language. Yeah, so Fernand's asking if he needs a certification in English before he's hired. I'll jump in and say no, you don't. You just need to have the company like your English enough that they believe you can work there. And then I believe for the PR, you do need to have an IELTS or CELPE, right? So maybe someone more qualified can answer about the PR, the permanent residency. Maybe Jihad, you want to jump in on that?
Yes, for most of the PR programs, you need your IELTS, but it really depends on the program you're looking for. If you're looking for the regular express entry program, you would need your IELTS or CELPE, whichever one you choose to attempt.
Yeah, so in order to get the work permit, just summarizing, you don't need English. You just need to be able to prove to the company that your English is good. And then maybe 1 year after, you live in Canada, work in Canada for 1 year, your English will definitely be good enough to get the score needed on the English exam, whichever one you choose to take.
Yes.
Yeah. Aaron's asking, hi, Aaron from Spring Financial, big fan of Spring Financial. Please say hi to Tyler for us in Israel. Do you help with provincial nominee program for PR? Aaron's asking. So that's your chat there. So yeah, what about for PR? Do we help with PNP?
Yeah, if you make a hire through VanHack, like sometimes we will go through the PNP program just if it's the right fit. If you're looking for help outside, like all of our consultants here at VanHack, we all help with these types of applications. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us and we can kind of go into more detail with you.
Yeah, Aaron, please reach out. Maybe Jose can introduce you to Karan or someone else from our team, and we can help you with that specific case that you might have. And I believe you hired a VanHacker recently, so congrats on that. I believe it was yesterday. So cool. All right. So just wants to repeat. Yeah, Swan, we already answered that. Oh, we couldn't hear us clearly. So I'll just quickly say, yeah, you can still apply for a work visa, even if you got your student visa refused. So hopefully that answered your question. Yes, Swan, apply for jobs. All right, let's keep going with the questions. So Kiran is asking, is there any opportunities for candidates from database cloud initial backgrounds, or is it only for developers? Yes, there are. So everyone, if you're curious if we have jobs for you, just go to vanhack.com/jobs and do a search, and you'll see exactly what kind of opportunities we have for your specific skill set. And that'll answer any kind of, are there jobs for X type of position? But yeah, definitely database, cloud administration, kind of a DevOps position. There's a lot of opportunities in that space going on. So yeah. All right. Any other questions? No such thing as a bad question. Can I turn my closed work permit to an open work permit by any chance, or can I just switch jobs? Yeah, so first thing I'll say there is, hopefully you're happy in your job and don't kind of go into it thinking you're going to switch your jobs. A big fear that employers have when hiring from abroad is they're going to be used by this candidate just to help them move, and then they're going to jump ship like a few months in. So like definitely don't do that, because you're going to be ruining it for many other people. Try and stay at your position for a few years. Like average VanHackers stay about 2.5 years at jobs, like hopefully more, and you're happy and get promoted and everything like that. But just really want to emphasize before handing it over to the visa side of things, just kind of the approach you should have when looking for international jobs. Don't go into it thinking that things are going to work out or not work out. And but of course you want to have that I guess reassurance that if worst case scenario things don't work out, you can find another situation. So in this case, maybe Shahad, what would happen if can people switch jobs? How does that work?
So for talking about switching jobs is for any worker who's on a work permit, and for LMI, it's always closed work permit. So first, it cannot be changed to an open work permit. So it's always going to be a closed work permit because it's LMI, it's tied to a company in a specific job role. Whereas for switching companies, they would always need an LMI to work inside Canada. So if they're looking to switch job, they would have to reach out to another company, find another job, go through the whole LMI work permit process again that Karan already covered. But there's no way to switch to an open work work permit if you're a foreign worker. There's options for open work permit that's based on study permit, but for the job offer, it's always going to be a closed work permit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where closed work permit doesn't mean like you're tied to the company forever. But really, like if this company is putting in all this effort and energy into helping you relocate, you really do want to stick around. Of course, if it's terrible, that's a different conversation. But you want to make the best of it, and also having that time to work for them remotely before you relocate, that'll really help you understand whether it's the right company for you. We recently actually had a VanHacker resign from his company before he relocated, which is good because he didn't have to move across the world, and the company didn't have to, like pay for his flights and everything before he moved, and then left the company. So definitely get to know the company and make that decision as soon as possible. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Last call for questions. And then I'll say, like, if you're an employer, one thing that a lot of employers are scared of is this situation happening, right? If a company, you hire someone, it doesn't work out, or maybe like it's a little bit scary, like hiring someone from abroad you've never met before. I will say with our data, like 99% of the time, it works out. Like past the first, I should say, 3 months. And then at the same time, our average time for a company to stay with, candidate to stay with a company is about 2.5 years. So, and that's only going to get further or longer as time goes on. So, we find that VanHackers are very, humble, hardworking, passionate people who are excited for our new opportunities. So, yeah. Luciana is asking, how much will it cost for the employer to support the LMIA? Shahat, since you're opening it there.
Yeah, so for the employer, it's $1,000 application fees that goes to Service Canada, and it's for each candidate that you look to hire, each foreign worker, there's going to be $1,000 application fees that directly goes to Service Canada. Yeah, great question, Luciana. Yeah, it's a government fee, non-refundable, but it's not a it's not a lot of money for the benefit you get, right? So. Hey, Hannah, how's it going? Hannah's asking, are you able to provide approximate costs for each step in the LMA process for permanent PR application? So I guess we answered the LMA one was $1,000. How about the candidate side? How much the candidates need to pay for the work permit and then also the PR?
I can take this one if you like. Yeah, so $1,000 on the LMIA. For the work permit application, it can really range depending on the family structure. If it's a single individual, typically it's about $240. Family of 4, to give you an approximation, is about $880, all Canadian costs. Those are all just government fees. And then, sometimes there are some costs regarding translations if your documents aren't in English, medical exams if you need them. But again, those can kind of vary. And then for the PR applications, I believe if you're a single, same thing. If you're applying by yourself and you're applying for permanent residency in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, the cost is $13.25. And then same if you have a spouse, it's another $13.25. Yeah.
Cool. How is the notice period? Let's quickly go to that. Notice period, join a company. That really depends on your current employer, Satish. So hopefully you have a short notice period and you can join your new company quickly. 2 years experience, it's usually, we usually see people with 3 or 4 years experience, so on. Is there any charges the employer needs to pay to VanHack? So yeah, VanHack is a recruiting company, so we get paid, we make money by connecting employers and candidates. We only get paid if a hire is made. Yeah, that's how our business model works. Yeah. Well, all right. On the candidate side, what process do they go through before interviewing with a potential employer? Yeah, great question, Joanne. And Joanne, please say hi to David for me, and Otavio, and a few of the other VanHackers, Ricardo, etc., who are working at Montreal. Yeah. So there's a lot of screening that we do. So first, there's an English test. So all candidates, actually, if you go to vanhack.com/talent, you can actually see all of our candidates and see some of the videos that they've recorded. So that's the first thing, is candidates upload 3 videos. we check their English level, so we really want to make sure they have the right communication skills. After that, they do a coding test using a platform called Qualified or HackerRank, and that's kind of a simple coding test. Well, not simple, but it's a hard test, but like the process is simple that they do on their side. And then finally, we have a call with the candidates to make sure that they're the right cultural fit for whatever employer we're sending them to. So it's kind of the 3-step process: communication, coding, and culture fit. The 3 C's. Yeah. Cool. All right. So if the candidate was selected, can they start, or he, she, they, work remotely before moving while the documentation is ready? Yes. So Enrique, great question. So as a candidate, or the candidate can start working remotely in their home country. If the company doesn't like the candidate during that time, I guess they'll just let them go, like any process, and that'll be the end of the relocation process. That doesn't happen very often. Like I said, 99% of the time it works out. So we've made over 1,700 hires, and it probably hasn't worked out maybe 50 times, maybe something like that over the last 7 years. So it's very rare. Yeah, make sure you put your best foot forward during the time you're working, as always, of course. Okay. Any other questions? All right, well, that should do it. Thank you so much, everybody. This was a lot of fun. On behalf of the VanHack team, thank you so much for spending the time with us. We do, again, have that guide, free global mobility guide. If you want to download it, it has a lot of detailed information you can check out, a lot of really good links and information for you. Again, it's free. And then also, we are having a few webinars coming up. So one is on June 14th with Remote. We are partnered with a company called Remote.com, which is a global leader in remote employee payroll and contract management. So it's a really good solution to use while that person is working abroad remotely, and before they become a full-time employee. And VanHack has a special partnership discount code if you are interested in that. And also, we're going to have the CTO and co-founder of JobGet join us, Billy Land. And they actually were able to hire, I believe it was like 8 or 9 VanHackers in about 2 months. And so they've been really successful in hiring a lot of great folks on their team. So check out the link in the chat. Gretel just shared it. Yeah, if you have any other questions, information, our team is really accessible. I believe there was a calendar link shared as well if you want to book a time to chat about. Sorry, my son. If you want to book a time to chat with our team about hiring the tech talent, relocation, everything like that. Want to add us on LinkedIn? We're around. So yeah, I'll wrap things up and go see my crying son, make sure he's okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.